Hi, folks. This is James O'Keefe, Captain of the Massachusetts Pirate Party, and today I'm joined by Joe and Malt. How are you folks doing?
Fantastic.
Better than most of the world at the moment.
Yeah.
So we just want to remind folks that the Earn It Act is still a threat. That is a bill before the Senate, but there's also a House counterpart. And we urge you to, that is the Eliminating Abuse and Rampant Neglect of Interactive Technologies Act. We believe that it would, in essence, is an end run around things like Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which serves to protect free speech online, as well as the Earn It Act could potentially be used to go after encryption. It passed out of the Senate Judiciary, so now would be a good time to contact Senators Warren and Markey and tell them you oppose it. You can call Warren at 202-224-4543 or Markey at 202-224-2742. I'll also put a link in the chat and the description for our petition, and that'll go, you can fill that out, and that'll go email them as well. We'd like to get more people signing up for that, so please spread word about it. We also had a pirate moot yesterday. That's our member discussion. We do those once a month. And I'll put a link in the description for the notes from that meeting. We have some plans in terms of helping, encouraging candidates to run, doing potentially an Earn It Act protest in Boston, as well as it looks like there's going to be a Free the Vaccine protest, hopefully in April. So that's it about us. As always, you can find us at masspirates.org, and you can sign up for our mailing list. Donate, whatever you want to do. What other things do we have today?
Well, if I may, about the whole Earn It Act, of course, all the news media is focusing on the terrible events of Ukraine, and I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit, but classic distraction, don't pay attention to what the left hand is doing. So now is the time where we really got to stay on top of the senators, stay on top of the legislators, and make sure that they're not trampling on our rights in the background. So
yeah, anyone who's lived through more than one armed conflict in America knows this is when they pass the sneaky shit.
Ain't that the truth?
So, and I do believe the other thing that's been going on is, speaking of sneaky stuff, we also have stuff going on with Amazon.
Yeah, this came across at Cory Doctorow's pluralistic.net website. He goes over the $31 billion Amazon ad business and lays out how basically Amazon is playing consumers against producers against one another and pocketing the difference. Essentially, they have ads where if you want to get your product placed higher, then you can pay them ad money in order to do that. Then, of course, they don't do anything necessarily about comments or recommendations about the product, but that has a whole other set of potentially manufactured comments. That has a whole other industry going on there. And then, of course, Amazon has its own products. They have billions of records of purchases and sales, and they can go through and identify what products they can go and create that someone else is already trying to sell, so they can undercut them, usually, cheaper quality. They look sort of like the product, and of course, they don't have to pay ads because they're Amazon, so they get to be placed higher without that. without having to pay additional money. So Amazon's really screwing over consumers. It's screwing over businesses who are selling on their market. And you can find out more at the link, which I'll put in the description.
Yeah, I'll actually cop to owning an Amazon branded product, Amazon Basic. It's a valise case that I use for totally legal things. But like when I went looking on Amazon for this, the Amazon branded ones were the only ones showing up in search. The Cory Doctorow puts it really clearly in their article. To make this clear, Amazon retail business today is an intermediary, a choke point capitalist marketplace with customers corralled on one side and merchants on the other, with a gate in between where it collects rent to let one side talk to the other.
And of course, the other thing that he points out about that is Amazon says you as a business cannot sell your product at a lower price somewhere else. So if you're on Amazon and you want to pay that money in order, or you feel you have to pay the money in order to get your ads there, you can't raise your price in Amazon and have a lower price somewhere else. So in other words, other businesses where they may be selling their products are subsidizing Amazon because they have to raise their price so that the Amazon price and the non-Amazon price are the same. And so in essence, as I said, Amazon's getting subsidized by other businesses, whether it's, Target or Walmart, but also whether it's, mom and pop stores or small retailers or things like that.
Doesn't seem very fair to me.
It's not.
How do you think Bezos made his billions? He didn't make it making a great product.
He's the world's most divorced man.
I thought that was Putin. Isn't he divorced from reality?
Ha! We can only hope. Wait, is that better or worse? Anyway, what else we got going on?
I mean, other than the giant elephant in the room known as the war going on in Ukraine, and it looks like China's going to get into the fun party too.
I hope
So
not.
that's still speculation. But there's been a lot of, from what I understand, a lot of drive-by flights invading Taiwan's airspace.
Oh,
As
they've
of
been doing that for
recently.
years, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's increased significantly, and so we'll see. Hopefully, China doesn't do something dumb.
Yeah, I was impressed that China did not, when the Security Council resolution came out condemning Russia, I was surprised that China abstained. They did. I mean, it was good they didn't vote against it, but to even abstain, considering how close Russia and China are, is even China's like, yeah, invading other countries, invading Taiwan, that's okay. That's considered part of China from the Chinese perspective, Chinese government's perspective. But invading another country, that's a different kettle of fish because.
What about those? There's contested real estate between Russia and Japan still, right?
In World War II, there were a set of islands that the Soviets took over after Japan had been defeated, and Japan would like those islands back, but they're probably not going to get them back. I mean, there's also a set of islands that China would like back that, well, it's complicated. Japan was supposed to give them back, or I don't know. So they're not really great islands, but they are off of China's coast, and I'm sure China doesn't want them there.
And Dokdo Island, which should stay Korean.
The whole incident and issues going on over in Ukraine, I mean, great for the Ukrainian people. They're really standing up to what is essentially one of the world's greatest military powers, and
Or was.
doing it.
Not so much anymore.
Well, we'll see. Only time will tell.
So,
And
Robert Brockaway, who's an outstanding reporter, has weighed in and said that they agree there have been several hundred Russian armored personnel carriers that have been taken out. Like the estimates that have been circulating Twitter sourced from the Ukrainian Independent Times, it looks like they've been exaggerated, but by the looks of it, there have been several hundred armored personnel carriers taken out.
well, what happened with that is they actually took out one of the strikes was against the gasoline carrying vehicles, and so they had to abandon like I think it was close to 700 now is the total
The whole
of those.
column, the
Yeah,
whole column
so
has been
it
thwarted.
just tons of tanks, even some of their rocket launchers have been hit and taken out. I think the last total was over 4,000 Russian troops have either been killed or wounded or
A lot of
captured.
them, there are like I've seen, they haven't been independently verified, but reports of contra or conscripted soldiers protesting orders. There was one or two Russian soldiers, after their vehicle ran out of gas, they went to a Ukrainian police station to ask for gas, and then they got arrested. Yeah, apparently the morale is very low among Russian soldiers.
From what I understood, is they were told initially that they're going over here next to the Ukrainian border for exercises, and then the next order they got after they were done their exercises was go into Ukraine, and then after that they're saying, "Oh, we're attacking." So when they were originally dispatched over here, they weren't even like told that, "Yeah, we're going over here to invade." At least the lower end people, they weren't even told beforehand. Did you see some of the pictures of how they just had whole like platoons just in houses before they even, like, this was so rushed that they didn't even have proper housing set up.
There's been a lot of those photos circulating. Not all of them are recent. There's also one really popular clip of Molotov cocktails being deployed against two wheeled vehicles. That was sourced from 2014. Sadly, um, I'm also I've been told, like I've seen claims that the Ghost of Kiev is simulated footage from a video game.
Truth is the first casualty of war.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some good work by people who have been trying to geolocate stuff, but yeah, we don't. It's hard to tell what is real and what isn't. And I'm sure there's a lot more posted in Russian, whereas maybe Ukrainians are more likely to post in English because of the audience they're trying to influence. But people are dying on both sides, and this is a stupid, idiotic war. So someone asks, George of Pirate asks, assuming Putin is truly trying to restore the old Russian Empire, parentheses, something he's openly said, close parentheses, and if he means his claims that the Arctic, quote, belongs to Russia, end quote, should we be concerned about Alaska?
Possibly.
I mean, we should be concerned. We can definitely include Alaska under the greater concern umbrella.
I would say that him getting the nukes ready would be the most imminent threat to democracy or life as we know it across the world. If he starts letting those off, then we're going to be left with little choice but to respond in kind.
Yeah,
Um,
if I don't think there's just going to be one nuke. If there's one nuke, there's going to be a lot of nukes.
and they're not going to be pointed at just Ukraine. No
I
way.
Did any of you see reports that radiation spiked around Chernobyl after the Russians took it?
Yeah, because they were shooting at Chernobyl, at the
There have been
concrete
rumors to
barrier.
that effect, yeah.
Yes, they took it by force. They were shooting. They were active combat Chernobyl war zone. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. They probably breached the case.
Well, that I haven't heard. I've heard that there hasn't been breaches of any of the cases around or the sarcophagus or anything like that. Because I don't. So the Russians, want the Ukrainian army to just roll over and then to roll up, this to be really easy. And, uh, when you look at it, they weren't necessarily doing massive artillery or bombing on whole cities the way they blew up Grozny in Chechnya, or parts of Syria. So I don't think that's what they wanted, but now that it's proving to be much harder and the Ukrainians are resisting much more effectively than the Russians thought, who knows the way it's going to go.
How did they take Georgia?
Well, they didn't take Georgia. So in 2008, there are two separatist republics in Georgia, and the Georgia military, just after the Russians had done a exercise north of them, decided that was the time to try and take back some land from the separatists, which, then they had a whole bunch of tanks and armored personnel carriers that came in from ships in the Black Sea or came down from the north, and they invaded for a time and kind of beat the Georgians around and then withdrew once the Georgians had been, I guess, sufficiently chastised. So, I mean, some people say that it's because Georgia wanted to join NATO, and that could certainly be part of it. But the excuse was the Georgians had gone against these separatist republics, which we know how Russia dealt with its own separatist republic in Chechnya. I mean, they basically obliterated the main city, and and treated people horrifically. So, yeah.
So Wikipedia says that the European Court of Human Rights ruled that Russia maintained direct control over the separatist regions and was responsible for grave human rights abuses taking place there. Oh boy. It looks like there are 20,000 mostly ethnic Georgians still displaced from that. So, yikes.
Displaced outside
Yes,
of the republics.
outside of Georgia.
Okay.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Well, as a pirate, my heart goes out to all the people displaced or affected by this war. And I just hope that we can come to a peaceful resolution with minimal loss of life. And I hope that democracy does definitely ensue, and that we find a way to come to terms and find a way to not just have peace with us, but peace in the East.
We should mention that the Russian Pirate Party has issued a statement condemning Putin's actions. There are huge protests going on within Russia. Protesters are getting disappeared, shot, killed in the streets. People are
I
still
haven't heard
turning out.
disappeared. I mean, I haven't heard shot killed. I've certainly heard lots of arrests, thousands of people arrested.
I'm making assumptions. Um, it's, I mean, we can
Let's
assume
not
that
spread the rumors.
all right. I'm just trying to get ahead of the story, maybe even invent it. Anyway, you can put that on me should it happen later. I gave the order to Russian police to kill people in the streets. I will take full responsibility for that if it means I get to be one of those oligarchs. Anyway, um, like abusing and harassing Russian people in America is not going to help. And sadly that's already happened. There's the Russia House restaurant in DC had some windows smashed. There's been a bunch of right-wing blowhards making noise about kicking out Chinese and Russian students. Don't do that. Like, let's not repeat the mistakes of the Japanese internment during World War II.
I mean, I definitely have to say that the Russian people themselves are really against this war. Uh, I think that the big thing going on in Russia right now, a lady, like earlier today, literally got arrested for having "Stop War" on her bag as she was walking by the Kremlin. And so the Russian people are protesting all over Russia against this war. It's not the people. So anyone with ethnic Russian, it's not them. It's their secret police. It's their Kremlin. It's their leaders. It's Putin, and those people are being sanctioned right now. So their assets are being frozen. Their major banks backing this have been kicked off of SWIFT. So um, we're definitely doing everything we can, short of going in and sending our troops in ourselves.
Which we most
Um,
definitely should not do.
I will say to address the question from George's Pirate. Now that Putin's committed to this course of action, I don't see any advantage for him to withdraw. I really think he's going to continue to push this until there's so much disruption and like unrest in his own country that it becomes impossible to maintain control. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance he's going to make a move into Arctic territory, into lands that are under American jurisdiction. Probably not occupied places. Like, I don't think he's that dumb,
I don't
but
think he has the forces. If the stuff that I've seen that 2/3 of his army are going into Ukraine, if they pulled people from the Far East using like old line T-72s and BMP-1s because they never thought they would fight the Chinese, and they're using that in Ukraine, then a lot of their army is already occupied, shall we say, with occupying Ukraine. I mean, if they get defeated, then if Russia gets defeated, hopefully he won't decide to resort to nukes in order to get his way. That would be horrific.
that, and they're talking about going into, what was it, Finland and Sweden?
I mean, they didn't say go in. They said that there could be political or military ramifications if Finland or Sweden choose to join NATO. My understanding is the support isn't there in Sweden, but in Finland it took them 3 days to get the 50,000 signatures they need to put a referendum question on. So
Finland is terrifying. Finnish people are terrifying. The there's one event in history where one night they killed all the communists.
I do have to say, though, about Finnish people, Finn Troll is an amazing band, and I love you, Finn Troll. Much love.
I'm sorry, Joe, what?
Finn Troll, it's a band from Finland. They are awesome. I just have to give a personal shout out to them.
Oh, okay.
We love you, Finland. You're awesome.
I mean, we certainly are seeing people in the US saying we should block RT or TASS or any of the other Russian news services, or we should even deny Russians access to Facebook or Google or other services. And those are just ludicrous. I mean, we're pirates. We believe in the free flow of information. And that goes for flow of information into Russia. And if you deny people access to Facebook, then you're just leaving them to whatever other services are definitely controlled by Russian security services.
There was a Ukrainian sailor got arrested after deliberately sinking his Russian boss's yacht. And we need actions that don't punish the average Russian civilian and instead do take money from the rich and give it specifically to me personally.
And through you to everyone else, right, Malt?
I mean, I would share. Some of these yachts have 8 pools. I'm like, what am I can't swim in 8 pools at once. I will say about just take a limb off me like I'm Gumby. A lot of Finnish people are named, I forget, it's like Simona Sikorsky or something, after one specific Finnish sniper who is known for murdering hundreds of people. So if that tells you anything about the Finnish national spirit, it's that they actually probably want Russia to invade.
I don't think they want Russia to invade.
I think it's like a wish a motherfucker would scenario. If I'm remembering correctly, for a while there was only one road that connected Russia to Finland, and that road was lined with bodies and of entire Russian battalions, and they had signs at one point numbering the number of dead from these battalions.
So don't screw with Finland. Although I'm still reminded of the Russian woman sniper who killed a lot of Nazis.
Or that badass Russian woman who bought a tank and forced herself into the army. They're scary people up there. When it's cold, people get weird. I will say.
Any place that eats ice cream in the winter,
And with that, we hope you like, share, and subscribe, and feed this algorithm. Thank you for your comments. It does make our whole talk so much better. So thank you, Georgia Pirate. We really appreciate you. And thank you for sharing. If there's anything else you'd like to see us do or talk about, please don't be shy. Jamie can take it. He's got thick skin, so you can tell him how it is. So.
And I'm fucking mental, so good luck with that shit.
And we'll work on getting a yacht, so Malt can relax.
I will chew a hole in the bottom.
Thanks, folks. Take care.
Thank you, guys. And remember, vote pirate.
We're done.
I just heard back from